So, was I wrong about the Greninja from Twilight Masquerade? Welcome back to the chase card, guys. Obviously, we're halfway through the Scarlet and Violet era now, and I really wanted to shine a spotlight on the top 10 most expensive chase cards to come out of this era so far. Obviously, in the future, there's going to be a lot more to come, but for right now, I just wanted to examine the top 10 most expensive chase cards, including the number 1 chase card from Twilight Masquerade, that Greninja, which about 2 months ago in a video, I made a big, bold prediction on. Let's see if I was right or if I was wrong, because that card is now up more than 108%. We're going to talk about that toward the back end of the video. Let's just get straight into the top 10. Okay guys, so the 10th most expensive chase card so far from the Scarlet and Violet era is none other than this beautiful Iron Crown EX from Temporal Forces. Now this special illustration rare is a really beautiful card. I love the artwork on this card. It is such a nice card. And I'll just say up front, guys, not all of the cards that I'm going to show in this video I like, but most of them I do. Most of them I personally think are really good artworks. Scarlet and Violet so far for me has really delivered. I think some of the artworks and illustrations to come out of Scarlet and Violet are really nice. And I'll give my opinion as we go. But Iron Crown is a nice card. It's dropped about $22 in the last 5 weeks or so. But very nice card. Maybe a good time to pick it up if you like this card, guys. But that makes the top 10 so far, that Iron Crown at $61. The Iono from Paldean Evolved. This is the number 2 chase card from the Paldean Evolved set. And it's the 9th most expensive chase card to come out of Scarlet and Violet so far, out of this era. $69. Now, if we go back to sort of, it's hard to believe Paldean Evolved is almost 1 year old. Hard to believe, guys. That time has flown. Back in July last year, this card was $107. And look, to be fair, it's been basically on a downward spiral since then. It's had its ups, a few ups here and there, but it just trends down. It just keeps dropping in price, and it's such a beautiful card. And you've got that little Pikachu there. I have spoken about this card before. You've got the Eevee in the bottom. I love this card, and it probably is a good pickup right now, or if you want to buy it a bit cheaper, if it drops in price a bit more, it might be worth picking up. The cards I'm mentioning in this video are not specifically for investment purposes. It really is just to shine a spotlight on how the top 10 chase cards are doing from this era so far. And that's a really, really beautiful card. I love it. I will be getting this card at some point. If I don't pull it myself, I will be purchasing this card at some point. However, I will watch the market and probably get it cheaper than this. But long term, probably hard to go wrong. But that's the 9th most expensive card coming out of Paldean Evolved. Now, Twilight Masquerade, the newest set from the Scarlet and Violet era, the most recent set. This Perrin trainer card going for $79. Now, this is one that I'm not crazy about. It's a little bit too simple for me. The artwork is nice. I can't knock it too much. The artwork is quite nice. It's just not a card that I'm too interested in. But I have to give it some credit. It's not too bad. But that's the Perrin from Twilight Masquerade. This card basically was $73 when it was pretty new. Went up to $82. Like recently, in the last week, it's been up to $82, and it's still pretty much there, close to that $80 mark. So sitting pretty between $80 and $82 is this Perrin. This is the eighth most expensive chase card so far from this era, the Perrin. Now, I don't know if you can see this. on this video, if it's going to stand out. I'll see if I can put a bigger version of this card up when I edit. But in the camera Perrin's holding, in the camera that this Perrin is holding, you can actually see the face of Growlife. I think it's the Growlife Pokemon inside that camera lens. So that's a pretty cool little feature. I don't know if you guys noticed that before. But there she is, the 8th most expensive card, the Perrin coming from Twilight Masquerade. Now, the Raging Bolt EX. This is the 7th most expensive card to come out of the Scarlet and Violet era. This is the Raging Bolt EX Special Illustration Rare from Temporal Forces. $84. Hit a high back in late May of $104. after shooting up from 50. So basically in early to mid-May, this card was 50, doubled in price, more than doubled to $104 in late May. We're now getting into the back end of July, and this card seems to be holding firm just above $80 for the last sort of, basically the last sort of 6 weeks or so, between $80 and $85. Again, these are raw, ungraded prices. Now, I said I'm going to offer my opinion on these cards as we go. This is the number 1 chase card from Temporal Forces, even though it's 7th on this list. It's the number 1 chase card from Temporal. I don't personally like this card. It's just not something I'm interested in. I don't really like this particular Pokemon. I just do not need this card at all. But if you like it, hey, go nuts. It is a bit cheaper than it was a couple of months back. And that makes the list as the 7th most expensive card from this era so far. Now we have our first one from Paldean Fates. This is the Mew EX Special Illustration Rare. Now I will say this about this Mew card. I wasn't a big fan of it when it was pretty new. I just thought it was a little bit too simple. You've got a Mew in a circle, not much else going on. I thought it was a bit too simple. I like cards that are a little bit more creative, have a little bit more going on. But it has grown on me a little bit, and it is quite a nice card. Will I rush out and get it? Probably not. Look, I'd be very happy if I pulled it. I'm probably not going to go and buy it if I don't pull it. But it is quite a nice card, and a lot of collectors are after this. It's $86 currently. It was $74, where are we, back in sort of March. It came out of the gate strong, was $111 straight out the gates and crashed to about $75. Like I say, back in March. And ever since then, to give credit to this card, it's been slowly climbing since sort of late March, from 74 up to 86 now. So, it's not going bananas, but it is quite steadily rising, very slowly but surely. And that's the Mew EX. This makes the list as the 6th most expensive card from Scarlet and Violet era, the Mew EX. And this is the number 2 chase card actually from Paldean Fates. Next we have another card from Twilight Masquerade from Pokemon's most recent set. This is the Carmine. This card is currently selling for $103. Came out at, it's basically the exact same price as it was about a month ago. And it had a high of $114 about 1 week ago, $114. It's getting down close to that $100 mark again at $103. I have a feeling that this could go sub $100. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think there will be more Twilight Masquerade reprints. It's been a very popular set. And I think as more of this set gets opened, that more of this card gets pulled from collectors, and it will drop the price a little bit when reprints do come. I'm not saying reprints have been confirmed, but I think they will reprint Twilight Masquerade. My opinion, I think they would. And I think this card will come sub 100 eventually. But of all the cards on this list, I really do love this card. And I would say probably 70 or 80% of this list I do like. But this Carmine is a banger of a card. I don't know, I guess it's just something about a woman bringing you food. I love food and I love women. So this Carmine is a really nice card. So that's the 5th most expensive card on this list, is that Carmine at just over $100. Now here's another one from Paldean Fates, a set that I really do like. The Paldean Fates is a really fun set to open. And got some nice shinies in there and that sort of thing. But this is the Charizard, the number 1 chase card from Paldean Fates. And the 4th most expensive card so far from this era, this Charizard EX Special Illustration Rare. Again, I freaking love this card. This is an awesome card. At some point, I will absolutely positively buy this card. Probably in a PSA 10. I don't know if I'd risk trying to buy it in mint condition raw. I'd rather just spend the money and buy it in a 10 because I do love this card so much. This was $154 back in sort of late January, early February. It's come all the way down to $103 back in sort of late March, early April. So it came off a bit. And again, since sort of late March, early April, just like we saw with the Mew from this set, it's slowly but surely been climbing, very slowly, but sitting at 114 US dollars. Now we get into the top 3. The 3rd most expensive chase card from the Scarlet and Violet era is this Charizard EX Special Illustration Rare from the awesome 151 set. What a pearler of a set. That 151 is such a crazy good set. $118 for this card. You can see this has been an absolute roller coaster ride, this card. So volatile. Look at this graph. Look at all these ups and downs. Hit 130, back down to 111, up to 134, down to 102, up to 118, down to 100. This graph gives you whiplash. This card's been bouncing all over the place. But $118 now. Again, beautiful card. This is one that we did actually pull. Me and my main man pulled the, I don't know if you can see that there, pulled the number 1 chase card there from the 151. The second 151 UPC we ever opened, and the first one I opened with my main man, and he was lucky enough to pull that number 1 chase card. He certainly does have a lot of luck, my best friend, and yeah, we're going to get that one graded. So awesome pickup. That's the third most expensive card from this era. The second most expensive card is this Magikarp from Paldean Evolved. And I would have to say Paldean Evolved is probably my most favorite set so far from the Scarlet and Violet era. I'm not saying that it's the best set to invest. I'm not saying it's the best set to invest in overall from this era. It is one of the better sets. But just as a collector, my personal opinion, I love this set. And this Magikarp, I'm not big on Magikarp, but this card is an absolute banger of a card. You've got that Gary hiding in the top corner there, the Gyarados. And again, I'm not big on Magikarp, but how can you not love this card? It is such a beautiful card, beautiful artwork. The second most expensive chase card so far from this era, and the number 1 chase card from Paldean Evolved. Sitting at $126, $127. Hit a high of $149 back in sort of mid-June. Like I say, we're coming into the back end of July now, and it's sitting around $126, $127. But if we go back basically to July last year, like I said, this set's basically a year old now. And last year it was $52. And this hasn't been as volatile as some of these other card prices have. This card has slowly but surely been rising and rising and rising and rising. I personally don't think this thing's ever going to crash. It still has a very low pop report so far as graded cards go. It's very, very, very difficult to grade this card in a 10. It's very difficult to grade in a 10, hence the low pop report. I'm not sure what the numbers are at the moment for PSAs, but it is quite low for a big chase card. It's very low. But that Magikarp, beautiful card. Get your hands on it whenever you can afford it, wherever you can afford it. Get a good copy, and all the best with your PSA 10s for that one. Beautiful, beautiful card. And the number 1 chase card, the Greninja EX from Twilight Masquerade. The number 1 chase card from Twilight Masquerade, and the most expensive chase card by far to come out of the Scarlet and Violet era. This Greninja EX. And who would have thought that a damn Greninja at this point would be the most expensive chase card. Honestly, man, $246. Now, confession time. I did that video about 2 months ago where I spoke about some of the chase cards, which ones I think are a good pickup, which ones you probably should wait for. And I did say, at the time of that video, this card was $173. I did say I was going to predict that the price was going to crash because a lot of new cards, new sets, the prices crash. I said it could possibly go even under 100. Now that I wasn't firm on, but I did think it was going to crash in price. And to my credit, it did go from $173 down to about $120 within a matter of days of me shooting that video. So it lost over $50, about $50 in price within days of me shooting that video. But the recovery was so quick, so sudden, and so sharp that this thing has been on an absolute tear since then, and it's now sitting at $246. Will it crash in price again? I don't want to make too many predictions about this card because it's really bloody astounded me that this thing has gone as high as quickly as what it has. It's just crazy. It's just a crazy price. So I don't want to make any predictions saying it's going to crash again, because if it does, it might not last long, that crash. Again, I think if Twilight Masquerade gets more reprints in the future, more people open this set, so on and so on, and this card is not. It's still always going to be pretty scarce, but as it gets pulled more and more in circulation, I do think at some point that this price is not sustainable. I don't want to say what price it will crash to if it does, but I just don't see this price being sustainable. However, long term, flashing forward 2, 3, 4 years, looking back, this is going to be a cheap price over the long term. And this is just going to be one of those cards that people pay top dollar for, absolute top dollar for in a few years' time, if not sooner. So, you know, hedge your bets with this one. If you want to wait to see if it has a crash, great. If you want to buy it now, long term, you're going to be okay. I'm not about to rush out and buy this. I'd rather buy a couple of booster boxes versus this single. It's a beautiful card. It is a beautiful, beautiful card. I'm not a huge fan of Greninja. Again, unless I pull this card straight from a packet, I'm probably not going to go out and buy this card. I'm not going to spend that sort of money on one card if I'm not crazy about the Pokemon. I'd rather just keep buying booster boxes with my cash. But there you go. That's the top 10 chase cards so far from the Scarlet and Violet era. There are some absolute pearlers in this list. There's some really nice cards. Spend your money wisely. You know, always pay your bills first. Don't rush out and buy this stuff if you can't afford it. Overall, these top 10 add up to over $1,080 US. I think it was about $1,082, $1,087 US if you were to buy all 10 of these chase cards. Again, long term, if you got all those graded and got half of them in 10s, that would be a really solid investment. However, that is a ton of cash to drop on some single cards. So spend wisely, buy what you love, and always remember, just have fun. Enjoy the process, enjoy the hobby. Don't take it too seriously. Happy investing, happy collecting. Leave your comments. I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching the chase card. I'll see you next time on the next video. Bye, everyone. Bye.